never know what to expect going out the door on New Year's Eve. I mean, that's the challenge, is there's stuff happening everywhere. If I had 100 cameras, I wouldn't be able to capture everything I want. It's one huge photogenic moment. So it was the end of 1983, the beginning of 1984, and I was living in Paris, and I was curious about, George Orwell, who I was reading a lot of, and what 1984 would mean for the world. So I thought it would be cool to experience that changeover on the streets. And it's been 32 years now, and I haven't missed a beat.
First one drops your hand, dead man.
Hello and welcome to Arts Unlimited, Deutsche Welle's weekly review of the German arts scene. As this is the first show in 1997, I'd like to wish you a very happy New Year. There are all sorts of ways of welcoming the New Year in. Celebrate a mad party, sink into the depths of depression, or just ignore the whole thing and go to bed. The last night of the old year is usually a busy one for those who have to work, the fire brigade, the doctors, the TV people, and artists too. One artist chose to go to the place where tens of thousands of Berliners have traditionally gathered for New Year's Eve ever since the wall fell in 1989.
New Year's Eve at the Brandenburg Gate, where the new year comes in with a bang. This muffled figure is also taking in the party, covering it with her camera. For 14 years, New York photographer Jill Waterman has been traveling the globe, capturing the fun and frustrations, dreams and hopes that mark this climax of the festive season. From Shanghai to Paris, and from gala ball to the alternative art scene, everyone, whatever their cultural background, is looking to the future, wondering what the next year will bring.
I love spontaneity, and I like to get pictures that I never could have imagined when looking through the lens. That's what really excites me. When I develop a picture and it's something that I never saw when I was looking through the camera. And that's something that can happen on New Year's Eve.
Spontaneity is the hallmark of her work. Always on the lookout for a context she can't and doesn't want to control, Jill Waterman lets the camera do the talking. She photographs her subjects from the crowd, or she simply lets them come to her. It all started as a bit of fun back in 1983 in Paris. Now it's a long-term project. For a quarter of a century, Jill Waterman plans to continue her New Year odyssey, capturing on film the festive faces and rituals of people all over the world. Then she intends to publish the pictures in book form, as a candid contribution to the annals of world culture.
New Year's Eve is the one time where people all over the world are excited about what the future may bring. I almost feel like the Pied Piper going through the streets with people coming up to me and asking to be part of the project and have their picture taken. People everywhere on the streets are caught up in their own lives and their own moments, and that's what I like to capture in my pictures. I like to capture the excitement where I'm trying to grab a slice of life before the people realize I'm there with my camera. And sometimes I wait them out until they relax back into their normal state, and that's when I can capture a picture. I started shooting in 1983 using black and white film and an analog camera, and I quickly decided that that was going to be my preferred method. The black and white film has allowed for a timeless quality to the pictures and a collapsing of time and space and different locations. In the intervening 30 years, technology has gotten much more sophisticated, but I'm still relying primarily on my black and white film and analog camera, although I also shoot with a small color point-and-shoot digital camera to capture some of the action. I develop all the film myself and have my own darkroom for making prints. I also scan the negatives so that they are easy to display as digital files, both on my website and to send around to publications. Throughout the night, I move very quickly from place to place, and I can do up to a dozen or maybe even 15 locations in a night. I like to move quickly and find subject matter to photograph before they recognize that I'm documenting, so to capture life unfolding. Sometimes becomes somewhat of a game of cat and mouse as people become aware of my camera and want to pose for a picture, but I prefer to get people on the periphery of a pose. I'm shooting with a black and white film and a harsh flash, so the subjects tend to come out of the darkness. I pop the flash and they're frozen for a moment in time. So the most challenging aspect of the project is those few minutes leading up to midnight and the time when the action gets crazy and the crowds are thick right after midnight, and figuring out where to be and what to photograph, finding some willing subjects or just grabbing moments from a wider crowd is always a nerve-wracking instant. I've found some great subjects over the years who have been extremely wonderful to work with. When I was in New Orleans, Louisiana in 1996, I scored a great coup with my pictures being featured on the front page of New Orleans Times-Picayune in a feature article called "Shooting the New Year's Safely with a Camera." Nowadays, we think of New Year's associated with fireworks going off around the Eiffel Tower and Times Square. When I first started this project, it was before the real big fireworks celebrations started, and since the millennium, the appearance of and the importance of pagan rituals has added more of the fire celebrations to the mix. In San Francisco, when I was photographing in 1991, the exotic erotica ball was one of the key highlights of the evening, and people were scantily clad, running around with no inhibitions at all. Similarly, in New Orleans, the crowds were thick on the second floor of the drinking establishments on Bourbon Street, and women were pulling up their shirts to get Mardi Gras beads thrown up to them from the street. In Edinburgh, Scotland, the men in kilts were doing much the same thing, and I was flashed all night long.
There are many different rituals on New Year's, from drinking and dancing to pagan celebration to religious mass. In Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, there's a particularly poignant celebration that takes place on the beach when people dress in white and bring offerings to the goddess Imanja, the goddess of the sea. On the millennium in Bethlehem, they had a peace celebration in Manger Square. It was a very charged occasion because it was also a Sabbath for the Orthodox Jews and in the midst of Ramadan for the Arab population. Manger Square was full of young men celebrating with song and dance. At midnight, they released 2,000 white doves into the air, followed shortly thereafter by fireworks to welcome in the new millennium. Throughout this project, I've been building the narrative with the intention of creating a book of this work. There are so many rich stories to tell. Lately, I've been holding back on exhibitions until I have the work documented in book form. At that point, I hope to exhibit the work more fully and produce a traveling show.